We're looking at pull request 48,000 from the Hugging Face Transformers library. This PR fixes 3 critical bugs that caused crashes and performance regressions in speculative decoding when using Whisper models. Let's walk through what broke, how it's fixed, and what to watch for. This PR pursues 5 objectives. The 2 primary fixes address an uninitialized variable crash in attention layers and cache initialization issues in Whisper's causal language model. 3 secondary objectives handle cache cropping, confidence threshold synchronization, and the import needed to make those changes work. All of these converge on one goal: making speculative decoding with Whisper work correctly again. Here's what happened. Before PR 43679, speculative decoding with Whisper was working fine, caches were managed explicitly per model, and the distill Whisper tests passed. Then PR 43679 refactored cache preparation to pre-initialize based on a config flag. That broke Whisper in 3 ways. The model received the wrong cache type because Whisper marks itself as not encoder-decoder even though it uses cross-attention. An uninitialized variable started crashing attention layers, and cache slot counts no longer matched the decoder layer count. On top of that, a separate PR introduced adaptive confidence tuning but only updated one config object, so the threshold adjustments were never actually applied. This PR fixes all of those issues. The fixes span 3 files. Most of the work is in Whisper's modeling file, where we initialize the variable and fix cache setup. Audio Flamingo gets the same variable initialization for consistency, and the candidate generator gets 2 fixes, one for cache cropping and one for threshold synchronization. Let's look at each change. First fix. We initialize is _updated to false before the instance of check. Without this line, if past _key values is a plain dynamic cache instead of encoder-decoder cache, the isInstance check doesn't enter the if block, and is _updated is never assigned. Then when the code unconditionally reads is _updated a few lines later, Python raises UnboundLocalError. 1-line addition, crash fixed. The same pattern is applied to Audio Flamingo 3 for consistency. Second fix. The big one. Whisper's config structure is flat. num_hidden_layers is 32, which is the encoder layer count, but the decoder has only 2 layers. When dynamic cache reads that config, it pre-allocates 32 slots. Then Whisper's decoder tries to write to layer indices 0 and 1, leaving the other 30 slots uninitialized. When speculative decoding tries to crop the cache, those uninitialized slots crash. The fix is to deep copy the config, override num_hidden_layers with decoder_layers, then pass that copy to dynamic cache. The second half handles the case where generate pre-allocates an empty dynamic cache, but we need encoder-decoder cache because Whisper has cross-attention. We detect that scenario, convert the cache to encoder-decoder cache, and carry on. That's objective 2 complete. Third fix. The old cache cropping logic always removed a fixed count of tokens. But when multiple speculative candidates are rejected in one round, the cache needs to shrink back to an absolute target size, not just remove a fixed slice. The new logic computes the target size from the input shape minus the accumulated removals, checks the current cache size, and only crops if the cache is too big. This prevents the cache from growing unbounded across speculative rounds. Objective 3 done. Fourth fix, a 1-liner. The adaptive confidence threshold tuning was updating assistant_generation_config, but confidence criteria constructs itself from generation_config each round. Without syncing to both, the threshold stayed at the initial value of 0.4, making assisted generation slower than non-assisted. Now we update both configs, and the adaptive threshold actually applies. That's objective 4. After this PR lands, speculative decoding with Whisper works again. The crashes are gone, the cache types and slot counts are correct, cache sizes stay stable across rounds, and adaptive confidence threshold tuning actually applies. The distill Whisper test now passes its speed assertion. Assisted generation is faster than non-assisted, as it should be. 2 minor notes to keep an eye on. First, There's a comment in the cache cropping logic that references a -1 offset, but the actual code doesn't apply it explicitly. The math is probably correct because num_added_tokens accounts for it, but the mismatch between comment and code could trip up future maintainers. Second, the cache initialization duplicates the deep copy and override logic in two places. It's verbose, but it might be intentional for clarity. If this pattern shows up in other encoder-decoder models, a helper function might be worth considering. This is a focused set of fixes that restore a broken feature without changing the broader generation API. The crashes are fixed, the cache logic is correct, and the adaptive threshold tuning works as intended. I'd approve this with a comment about clarifying the cache cropping comment and keeping an eye on the duplication. Nice work getting speculative decoding back on track.